Jesus Christ! Look at you!
Look at that! You guys like that intro? Yeah, it's slick. It's slick.
We're gonna put Patrick covering Sporting green at least, you know. Like, can we play it one more time?
You want to go back? I can put the intro one more time. You guys want?
Look at us. It just used to be like we should just have a wallpaper with a song in the background.
Yeah, and fuck it, let's go.
It wasn't even that. We had Dylan playing a jingle on a keyboard on the side, and he put his headphone down to touch it.
Yep, that's live drone action right there. That's what that's is.
Live.
Wow. I'm impressed, man.
I got a special finish, man. Wait till the show's done. I got a really cool finish.
You got another one?
Oh, even better, man. Even better. The ending is even better, man.
Here we go.
You're gonna love it.
Here we go.
All right, guys.
You get your mouth watering. That's it.
Yeah.
With the beard, it just glistens.
Cheers. Cheers to that.
All right, man. So we got cheers. Here we go. And Patrick, does he got a drink? He's reaching down. This will be his introduction.
No. I'm just putting my phone down.
He's like, oh shit, okay. He got so excited. All of a sudden, we all raise our drinks, and he's like, oh yeah.
A bottle of Hennessy. Like, damn.
Yeah, so it's a special edition of Benfica After 90. We're doing a rivals perspective, where we're going to do a series of 3 shows. Talk about the 3 main rivals in Portugal. We got Sporting, Braga, and Porto. And we got to start with the crosstown rivals, Sporting. What a man I do respect, Patrick, because he does a lot of great work for Portugal.net. And he's written other articles, and he's done some shows with other people that I do. I am close with, one of them I'm married with, and other people I do know. And he's been around the block for quite some time on the sporting scene, so we thought it'd be nice to bring on a guest like that and kind of break down some of the initial preseason action. Sounds good, I guess, guys? Maybe? No?
Definitely.
Yeah, you guys went all silent. So, Patrick, how about this? Why don't I start with, just you for a moment? Who are you, man? Give the people the background, right? You got to have Benfica watch this. We do got the Odd Sportingista that tunes in, right? So we're kind of pretty friendly show, I think, at times. But yeah, give us some of the projects you're working on, some of your background, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm currently working as a freelance journalist at the moment. A lot of people will probably know me more for work that I've done with Portugal.net, but I've done other bits here and there with AFC stuff and whatnot. And obviously being in England, I sort of share my love between Sporting and Arsenal. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do. Generally, yeah, it's me.
So out of curiosity,
hey, can I
go?
I want to sound like the Benfica guy from BTV. Hey, how are you? What do you think about Benfica? Patrick doesn't know this, but our guy from BTV just interviewed everybody at Bournemouth, like the goal scorer and the captain. And his main question was, hey, good night. Not good evening, good night. And they're like, hey, hi. And they'll ask, what do you think about Benfica? And then it's literally it. And they go, red.
That's nice. Yeah, next guy.
Yeah.
What'd you think about Benfica?
What a softball question.
Oh man. So great. Arsenal, is that how long have you been in the UK? Were you born here or born in Portugal and then moved in?
Yeah, I was born here. I was born in North London, so there was only really a choice between Arsenal and Tottenham. I used to live in both neighbourhoods, so but Arsenal won me over at the time when I was a young boy, so I went with Arsenal. And then obviously all my family is pretty much Sporting fans. I've got a few Benfica fans here and there, but we like to keep them quiet and just spread the Sporting propaganda about a bit more when it got to me. So that's been me.
That's awesome. Well, you got the advantage of being close proximity to Portugal, so you get to go on many trips down there to watch games once in a while, or?
Yeah. I mean, the last one that I went to was I think Sporting against Maritimo just in January, like pre-COVID times, so happier times. But yeah, every time I get to go there, I get to see obviously Tom as well from Portugal.net, which is always good to catch up with him. But yeah, we've been a few times together to see games. Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
Nice.
One of our first guests on this show, we started this show about, this is going to be our third season. Our first season was actually Tom from Portugal.net.
Yep.
I got
Sure
a
was.
beers with him out in Portugal, and he was kind enough.
He was at Davila.
Yeah, he did. Was it Avalad or was it Stade Luge?
Yeah. No, he was at Davila.
Was it? Okay.
He was at the stadium.
He was
when
at the
he
stadium
did it.
when
Yeah.
he called in.
Pretty
which
cool.
is pretty nice setup he had. But now I'm like dying at this question. I'm assuming you've gone to the Luge before to watch Sporting. Have you been to a game?
No.
No.
Well, he's been to the
never
Emirates.
I've never set foot into the place.
Because I was wondering.
I've been there.
Because I was wondering.
Have you been to the Emirates? You've been to the Emirates,
Yeah,
right?
the Emirates. Yeah.
Yeah, Emirates like a cheap copy, man. I've been to the Emirates. I hate the Emirates. It's funny because I don't like the stadium, even though everybody says it's the same as Benfica's. It's not.
Yeah.
Because you go there and go, listen, this ain't the same. Like, I get it, but it ain't the same because I love that one, but I don't like this one. So,
I get what you mean, but I'll take an opposing view. I prefer the Arsenal one a lot more to the Benfica one.
Oh, of course, yeah.
No, I was
Bit more
really.
classy.
I was kind of curious that the day that it does come when you go to the Stade Luge, I'd be kind of curious to see that feel because it's probably a weird dynamic for you because crosstown rivals. So obviously Benfica's a big rival. They probably have a little love for them, and yet you have lots of love for Arsenal. So because there's that similar feel to the ground, it'd probably be a weird vibe. I'm assuming someone that's an Arsenal fan but a Sporting fan going to the Luge would be probably a weird. I don't know. I would have a weird vibe. I think if a Sporting stadium was the same as let's say another team that I really liked. Like very similar. Yeah, dislike Sporting. It'd be just a weird vibe getting in there.
Yeah. I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, but I don't know. It'd have to be one where you have to be there. Obviously, the atmosphere is probably different as well. I think Arsenal are quite typically known for being a little bit more quieter, and unless we're like winning 3-4-0 and we start raising our voice and get cocky in that. But Benfica's probably a bit louder at the best of times.
Yeah, you'd hope so. Yeah, usually. Especially now with so I guess to kick it off, we got a preseason now. I know Sporting just had their game. You just came off watching that. We just had Benfica play their game. First preseason for Benfica with George Jesus. And out of curiosity, like when George Jesus left Benfica to Sporting, a lot of animosity. People were livid the way he left. I know it wasn't a situation where he went to Sporting and went back to Benfica. He kind of did a lap around, went to the Middle East, went to Brazil, did what he did. So his return to Benfica with your Sporting community, is there like kind of like it is what it is? Who cares? Is there any people that were thrown off by it? Like how did he? Like I know with us, it was very mixed emotions because he parted in an odd way. So some people were happy to have him back, some people weren't. But I was kind of curious across town. What was that feel like?
I'm not going to say that there's like good sentiments there. Obviously, if he's your manager, we're not going to be that appreciative towards him. But obviously, the spacing between the move, he obviously went to Al Hilal and then Flamengo after. At least from my sort of perspective, it softens the blow. If he had gone like straight back to Benfica, I mean, that would have been scandalous. He would have probably torn Lisbon apart with that move on itself. But with so many years coming through, and I think the fact that it sort of felt so predictable anyway, even from the times where Rui Vitória was at Benfica and he was under pressure, people were saying, "Oh, it's going to be Jesus, it's going to be Jesus." We sort of everyone saw it like coming. It was a developing story, so I think the fact that it was so like on the agenda, it sort of it took the sting out of the move itself, and it is what it is. We'll see what he does at Benfica. He's not a cheap man to hire, so we're keeping an eye on our own thing, trying to do our own thing, and then you guys can get on with what you get on with, and if it works out for you, it works out for you.
Yeah, I wanted to say too, like if JJ came back from Sporting to right back to Benfica, I don't even think me as a Benfica fan would be as accepting of it. So like you said, it softens the blow that he went to Al Hilal and then he went to Flamengo. Because if he came straight back, I'm not sure that I would have been on board with that. No way. You know what I mean? I'm not sure Benfica fans would have been appreciative of that. Yeah. He probably would have not only tore Lisbon apart, but he would have tore the club apart because there'd be fans who we're going to make sense of it. And then they're going to fans where, like you said, it'll be scandalous. It'll be shady on all levels. So I'm glad, like you said, it softened the blow a little bit because I was mad that he left a little. I mean, because I liked him so much. You know what I mean? He did a lot for us. He got us out of this funk. We wanted, some championships. We had a little bit of, we had some good years, some good teams with him. But for him to leave like that and then come back, like, no way. Like, I wouldn't have been accepting of it, is all I'm saying, as much, Mario, of that move back. There's no way.
Yeah, man.
I want to ask you a question as well, like, as we're speaking about, like, managers and coaches and stuff. Ruben Amorim, we know he's a huge Benfiquista. There's no denying that. But I also believe he's a great professional and he's going to do what he needs to do to win titles for Sporting. What was the feeling around, like, the Sportingistas when you guys go and grab somebody that is a big Benfiquista to be your main guy, the guy that is going to be controlling everyone?
Yeah. So I think it's one of those where the thing is, Ruben Amorim joined Sporting. He joined us at a time where Sporting were, just lacking inspiration, and the mood around the club was just very dull. So you sort of almost grab at anything at that stage, and the way that fans had grown disillusioned with Varandas and what he was doing, like for Amorim to come in, you sort of think, I don't know, you run out of hope, sort of thing. So I feel like in a way that sort of made it more accepting, so Sporting fans could say, all right, he's in now, he's our manager, let's just give him a chance. And that's what many have done, really. Regardless of his past, we know that he used to play for Benfica, he's a Benfica fan and whatnot. But we're well aware that he's obviously a professional and he has to he's at the start of his career, essentially, so he needs to do a good job early doors at Sporting. But if things get tough, you can expect those sort of criticisms to come back and bite him. His historical connection to a rival club, for sure, it will come back to bite him, even if it's got nothing to do with whether he's doing well or poorly. That's going to happen, especially in like a small place like Portugal. I think Portugal, in Portugal we feel football in a different manner, and I like to say a lot of the time that people have short memory, and in Ruben Amorim's case, that'll be it. Like, if he does brilliantly, no one will even remember that he was attached to Benfica at one stage. He'll be a Sporting hero if he does superbly. And at the same time, he could do really well and then fail right at the end, and then that'll flip 180 on him, and he'll be the Benfica guy, whatever. That's just not good enough for Sporting. Essentially, that's
what happened to JJ.
That's just how football is. Yeah, exactly. That's how it is.
Yeah.
Right. Now let me ask you this really quick, because you brought up Varandas. For me, from an outside perspective, I think this is his first real off season, where like he was kind of cleaning up a little bit of the mess that Bruno Carvalho left. And that's just my opinion. I don't know, whether you are a Carvalho fan or not. I'm just saying, for me, the guy left the club in shambles, or they got rid of him and the club was in shambles. However you look at it, you know what I mean? But for me now, looking at Varandas, clearing some of that debt away, he doesn't have much money to start off with. This past season, he goes with Amorim. That's like a foot in the right direction, where he gets a good up and coming coach for his team, And then this offseason now, in my opinion, it's his first real offseason where he's got kind of a better control of the money situation and the signings and things like that. Do you see him improving? Because I know he has a lot of critics on the Sporting side. There's still a lot of people devoted to Bruno, and that's just how it is. It doesn't seem like they have such a short memory when it comes to Bruno, Sporting fans anyway. But Varandas, so far, what is your take this season so far? Because, like I said, in my opinion, it's his first real chance to show what he's going to do.
I'm not sure many Sporting fans will see it that way, as this being like the first real chance that he's had. I think a lot of people would have probably excused him the year he got into basically the year he became president, and then he hired Kaiser and all that. I think that would have been year zero, as he called it himself. He said, I'm coming in, this is year zero. Next year you can start judging me, which would be year one, which was the year that he came in with Kaiser, and then obviously that flopped. He hired Sealers, that flopped, and then he's now settled on Ruben Amorim, which, on that basis so far, it feels like finally it's a step in the right direction. And this year will be huge with the signings that he's trying to make and all that. This year will be very important, because I think finally Sporting has a manager who's in Amorim, a manager who's trying to implement an identity and trying to pick players in relation to that. But Sporting's a big club, just like Porto and Benfica, and if we go much longer without genuine success and the feeling that we know that we're fighting for the title, without that, then he'll be in big trouble, regardless of the mess that was left behind by Bruno Carvalho and whatnot. Because what I feel, this is a very I think this is a huge problem at Sporting right now, is that obviously we had the situation with Bruno Carvalho and all that, and the players that ripped up their contracts, and then a few came back. It was obviously, there's no disputing it, it was a big mess to clean up. I think we've picked on that sort of situation. We've sort of used it as an excuse a bit, so that every time Sporting fails, we say, hang on, we had a big mess on our hands at the start. It's excusable. And I think that sort of thing, it tires people out. And I think there needs to be a little bit more responsibility, not just at the very top, but trickling down all the way to the very bottom. We can't be thinking about Alcochete 2017 or whatever year it was. We can't be like banging on the same drum. We have to move on from it and really start doing things properly. And I feel like Varandas and people around him have used that as a bit of an excuse. Until we get rid of that, I don't think Sporting will really advance and move closer to Porto and Benfica. And I think the fans are privy to that as well. And that's why I say that this year will be very important for Varandas, because he's running out of excuses to throw and time, essentially.
Yeah, I will say this much. In Portugal, though, I wouldn't doubt the capacity of the current administration to continue to harp on a past administration. Luís Vieira at Benfica has been over 15 years, and he still brings up the bad dark days when he took over, as if that was yesterday.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, that just recently
Back
happened.
in my day.
Yeah,
Remember that just happened.
advantage,
It's funny.
the advantage of that is obviously that Benfica have however many titles under Luís Vieira for that sort of argument to really sustain itself. I mean, we've not won a title for however many years still.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna go Varandas versus Bruno Carvalho, at least we fought for the title under one, and we haven't come close with the other. So that's what's going to get thrown on the table when you pin both guys together.
Yeah, I think right now this season to me is a very unique season in the sense that Porto's going through some challenges themselves with the combination of fair play. They're players that have been walking out on free. It looks like they might have another guy walking out on free next season. It's created some heartache for them. I think they've become a little weaker. I think obviously Benfica, we saw what happened with Benfica, this massive, huge disaster that happened at the end of the season, and they're trying to recover from that. I think Braga's become stronger. So I was really curious about Sporting, because Sporting has a lot of good parts still, right? I think it could be an interesting season where when you name the top 4 teams, like you're trying to decide, okay, who's getting the 3 top Champions League spots and kind of that group stage Europa League spot, right? It really feels like this could be a good season or a disaster of the season for all of the big 3. Like right now, we're all in love with George Jesus. We're excited about the game we saw today. This goes sideways. This will go sideways very ugly very quickly. Like if for some reason Benfica crashes bad this year, people will be livid. So I'm kind of curious to get your take on, you're seeing some of the transfer action at Sporting. When Benfica faces Sporting, who do you think is going to be that player that maybe we haven't seen as much of that could potentially shine?
At Sporting? Well, I think a lot of the talk right now is centered around Pedro Gonçalves, who's coming from Famalicão. But I'm looking at between him and Vendel, because obviously Sporting still has that void from Bruno Fernandes to fill, which is huge in terms of not just style of play, but also numbers, goals, assists. That has to be covered by someone. There has to be that sort of responsibility. And I'm looking towards Vendel, which is someone who a lot of people are pinning maybe to sort of climb up the hierarchy, maybe be like 3rd or 4th in line to be captain. He's someone who started playing a lot better once Amorim came and Bruno Fernandes was sold. Between him and Pedro Gonçalves, I think that's where we're going to start seeing. That's where we're going to start seeing Sporting really connect their play and look like a proper top 3 side. But also, there's a lot of like good youngsters as well coming through. I think Nuno Mendes will have a very good and positive season, especially with Acuna going. I think Nuno Mendes is someone who can really influence from that wing back role. Eduardo Quaresma should have a very good season as well, another young player. And I think as well, when you've got like so many young players coming through, I mean, young players, the good thing about young players is they come in and they come in with a point to prove. They're fearless. And these are obviously youngsters that have grown up with Sporting, Sporting on their mind, so they know what the club is about, more or less. I think it's good to have a good crop of players like that coming through. And as we've seen, we've had like numerous examples. I think Ajax was the latest one. That when you get a good cluster of players like that together, no matter how young they are, like good things can happen. And then obviously, I think Sporting fans will be hoping that a bit of luck shines their way with the crop of players that they have at the moment, because they are a talented bunch still. With few additions still to come, I think Sporting have a decent squad. Not, I wouldn't say to definitely fight for the title, but to at least be awkward for Benfica and Porto in the lead up to what will be a strange season, because I think we're condensing so many games as well because of COVID. And it's going to be a different kind of pre-season as well for everyone. We're not going to have as many games and tours here and there. The funds aren't the same. And again, there's that influence of starting games without fans. We'll see how that affects people. I mean, essentially, there are no home or away games as well early on. So it's going to be a weird season. So anything can happen. Sporting have to be hopeful.
Nice. I wanted to ask, if you don't mind, if there's anybody at Benfica from maybe even back a season ago, or even any of the players that have joined us. Not talking about any rumours, I'm talking about the ones that have joined the club. If anybody that you want to see, not do well or bad, just a player that you're curious about seeing how they're going to do in the Premier Liga.
I mean, Benfica signed some very good players, and like Vertonghen, obviously everyone knows Jan Vertonghen. Everton Cebolinha is another like top quality player who I think um, I think he should shine in the Portuguese league. But one player I'm curious to see, and he's not even particularly a player that I'm a huge fan of, but I'm very curious to see how he settles in. It's Gianluca Waldschmidt, simply because I feel he's the type of player that Benfica have missed, and I think Bruno Lage suffered a lot without that style of player last year. It's that João Felix, Jonas, second striker sort of player, the one to connect midfield to attack and fit in between the lines. I think Waldschmidt has the tools to do that. I wouldn't say to do it as well as Jonas and Felix did in the past, but it's a beginning. And I know that Jesus likes to play in a similar way as well, so he will need that sort of profile like in his arsenal essentially. So I think he could be a key player, and obviously I'm not sure of whether Benfica will go out and buy another player of similar ilk. There's obviously a lot of talk around a new striker or two new strikers even coming in Benfica, but I think Gonçalo Ramos is another player who could also, if no one comes in, he's someone who could also have a say in that centre forward role. He's someone who I've been keeping an eye on over the last year or so, and even in the UEFA Youth League final just this week, he looks pretty sharp as well. So he could be a surprise solution for Benfica this season. But that sort of role where Waldschmidt is expected to play, I think that's the player to look out for.
All right, I've got one more question, if you guys don't mind.
Yeah,
and this is because you said you were born in London. I didn't know that. You were born in the UK, so obviously you obviously got Portuguese relatives. You're Portuguese or English. That's up to you entirely. I wanted to ask what's the difference, or it's not so much what's the difference, but how do you compare a London derby between Arsenal and Tottenham or Spurs to a Lisbon derby, a Benfica Sporting or a Sporting Benfica? Because in my opinion, and this is because I'm Portuguese and I was born in Portugal, I lived there since I was 15. It's completely different in terms of the fans. The atmosphere is a lot bigger and better in Portugal. But then again, I've never lived one in London, so I want your opinion on it. How does it compare?
I would say the derby, and this goes for all the derbies in Portugal, within the top three. I think it's a lot more like tribal. Like, I don't know. I think in England they've sort of managed to put a lid on things, so there's sort of a bit of decorum attached to it, where people are a little bit more pleasant. And there are boundaries. I think in Portugal, I don't know. Like in Portugal, like for starters, if I'm a betting man, I'm putting money on at least one red card happening in a Benfica Porto game or a Benfica Sporting game. That's just what's going to happen, and that feeds straight from the hatred and like the hype that the crowd generates. Every single decision, you're hearing fans whistle and all that. I don't think you'd quite feel the same sort of atmosphere in England. I think England, the atmosphere is more geared towards getting the players hype and like creating an end-to-end sort of game. Whereas in Portugal, I don't know, I feel like it's one way you're sort of you're disputing every single refereeing decision, and the game's a lot more stop-start, and you're asking for red cards, and the players are getting riled up. They're in your face and all that sort of stuff. It's a different atmosphere. I think Portugal's far more tribal than it is in England. I'd say that's the main difference.
Yeah, I see that. I can see that. All right. Do you have any more questions?
I think Alex had a question. No?
No, I mean, we had 90 minutes of Sporting today, and Benfica played today. I wanted to kind of get to the game, what you thought of Sporting's performance today. You guys played Belenenses, is that right?
Yeah, it's one of those. I think first half was very good, but you have to take it with a pinch of salt as
Of
well.
course.
Because personally for me, although I do feel that Sporting played very well in the first half, especially, and there was some nice variations in movement between the front three, which will be key for Ruben Amorim to knuckle down. Because when you're playing a system with three defenders, essentially you lose one man in the final thirds or in midfield. In our case, it's in midfield. You need the front three to be a lot more mobile and keep busy. Otherwise, we can't find anyone between the lines, and we're just trading possession between the back, and it's just keeping possession for possession's sake.
So is Ruben trying to get like a one center back with two fullbacks, or like a three? Like, what's he trying to do in the back there?
No, three centre backs.
Three center backs.
But one central, the others more spread out lateral, which allows the fullbacks to push right up, almost like wingers.
So yeah.
And then obviously forwards. The two centre mids in the middle.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The problem is the two centre mids in the middle. I think they're young players, so they don't really want to make too many mistakes. They've been quite conservative, but also ahead of them, the striker and the two wingers. I think one of the problems that Sporting's had is they're not as involved in between the lines. They can stay quite static, which makes it difficult for them to actually receive the ball and for Sporting to actually progress the play. But I think that's something that Ruben Amorim, like struggles that he had at Braga as well early on. So it's something that the manager himself has to figure out. But I think Sporting, they're on the right path in terms of addressing them. They're on the right path, and we saw a lot of good movements today, which go a long way into helping that. Second half was a little bit more dull, but all in all, it was a good performance from Sporting. But the reason I say you got to take it with a pinch of salt is because I come away from that thinking like, wow, Belenenses a bit. They're looking a bit funny. I'm not sure it was their best performance, their most organised performance, and like coming up against a Petit side as well. You know what you're expecting, a very defensive display, and they're a bit all over the shop at the moment. So I'm not really sure what Sporting can take from that just yet. But a win is a win, I guess.
Yeah. And I think real quick, Mario, I think Sporting, Amorim, because the off season's so short, I think this is it's even better for him to really kind of get these things figured out for Sporting a lot sooner, because he came in mid-season, and then they haven't had much of a break. I'm sure they had maybe a couple weeks off, and then they're back in the training. You know what I mean? So I think in a weird way, Sporting kind of benefited from this short off season to have their new coach in there. So I'm actually a little curious, because it is Ruben Amorim too, and they paid $10 million for the guy. So I'm really I am intrigued.
More than 20.
20, isn't it now?
I think it's 16, but there's like a fine involved in there.
The delay of whatnot. I'll be honest.
That's a shit ton of money. That's just
that's a lot of money. That's the one thing I don't get what Sporting's doing with this one, because they're making transfers, they're doing business, and it's one of these things where it seems like I don't understand the ins and outs, but Braga's claiming there's an unpaid component that I think Sporting can likely pay, but it seems that every moment they drag on, and this Savranas issue, that it's going to only hurt the club down the road. It's like if they end up having to pay an extra few more million because they hold off, well, that's an extra few more million. You have less to spend on other things, right? So it's a very odd situation. I don't know. I've seen, like, I could just see on my own feed, I got a lot of Sporting issues. I know a lot of people aren't thrilled about it because it doesn't sit well with the fans, because to them it just looks disorganized. It looks like he doesn't have a handle on it. I'm assuming that's probably your take on it. It's just kind of a bit of a mess on that part.
Yeah. It doesn't look good on the club's behalf, and when that sort of thing becomes public as well, you lose credibility with other clubs that you want to negotiate with. And it's not the only case either. It's not like an isolated issue. We've got a few issues with other clubs and other people. I think one very public case is that of Sinisa Mijanovic, the manager that Bruno Carvalho last hired before being thrown out as president. I mean, he's still fighting the club with his dismissal and whatnot. So it's these problems mount up, and when they begin to mount up, it's not a good look for the club. So yeah, of course, you don't want that. And obviously, we risk getting in trouble as well if we don't pay. I think Braga have set us a deadline somewhere in September, early September, for us to sort it out. If not, they'll take the case elsewhere, and we'll see what happens then. Yeah. But yeah, it's not positive.
I don't think like being a Benfiquista or being a Portista. Or I can't speak for Portistas, and I can't speak for every Benfiquista either. But I think even though you guys are rivals, that's not something I want to see Sporting go through, though. Like, it doesn't matter how, like, the hatred in that there's a hatred that I talk about, like, we're rivals. I don't want you to win titles. I want to win them instead. But in terms of, like, seeing Sporting struggle with, whether it's money or any other, like, when Bruno Carvalho, I have so many, I still have friends that say that they want Bruno Carvalho back. I don't understand that. I don't get involved because for me it's like, dude, like how? But one thing I don't want to see is, I've always said that I would never want to see Sporting go through what, for example, Belenenses is going through. Anything like that. I don't think that's not being a football fan. That's being blind. And I remember when they approached Ruben Amorim and they went ahead and bought them, I was like, well, that's a lot of money. I hope they don't shoot themselves in the foot. And now it's been a few months, and it's like, guys, please sort this out, because I can see you guys really going, like, really, really struggling to do this. And I mean, believe me or not, I don't want to be in a situation where I'm like, so Sporting, somehow at 5th place because they've lost this and that and that and that, and that would be sad. Honestly, that would be sad, because I've always had that sort of podium idea of Benfica, Porto, Sporting, or Benfica, Sporting, Porto. I don't put Porto. I would say I put Benfica first, but I don't care what comes second. And that's for me. For me, it's, I don't know. It's just not nice Portugal to see. It's not.
It's better for Portugal. It's better for Lisbon.
Of course, yeah. I love how Braga's coming up. But I don't want to see Sporting that has been there for so many years, and a lot, like, it's been Benfica Sporting most of the years. Porto just 20 years ago started coming up. It was Benfica Sporting, and now it's like Benfica Porto, and you see Sporting with these issues, and you think, like, man, guys, like, sort yourselves out, man, please, because, like, I don't know, again, if you ever liked Bruno Carvalho, but I remember when Bruno Carvalho joined Sporting, I was talking to a few of my friends, and I was like, this guy reminds me of Valias Vid. When he leaves, he's going to leave a massive hole, and you guys are going to have to, like, just figure everything out very quickly. Again, I don't have a favorite. I wouldn't. I don't know if Fernandes is better. I don't know if Bruno Carvalho is better, but I just really, really hope that in a year's time we all sat here and thinking, okay, no, it's been sorted. Now we can fight on the pitch instead of outside the pitch. Yeah.
I mean, it's similar to what Mario said, though. We've got this money that we owe to Braga. It's hanging over our heads, but at the same time, we're spending money on this and that player. We sold Bruno Fernandes for a lot of money in the summer. We're going to sell Bolinha soon for a fee that's almost identical to the one that we owe to Braga. Acuna's going to be on his way out too for what I'm sure will be a similar fee, around 15 million euros. I think the Sporting's finances are just unclear at the moment. No one really knows, like, what's going on, what sort of money has been left to the side, and what sort of money is available to pay this and that. And I think that's sort of it. You can play on it if you get what I mean. It's very easy when there's that sort of, like, how do I put this? When you can't really see, like, the money stack up in front of you, like, officially. You don't know how much money is in the bank. So you're living on the outside. It's very easy for someone to then say, "Oh, like, if things go wrong, they can just say, oh, it's Bruno Carvalho's fault, or it's the guy who was here before Bruno Carvalho's fault, and whatnot." That sort of lack of clarity, I think, it's one of those things that I think could potentially be being used as another excuse for sporting shortcomings, and be that on the pitch or financially, as a business essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're a bit like that, to be honest, at Benfica. We don't really know what's going on. We sell all these players, we don't see the money either. So in that sort of subject, it's not just Sporting. I think everywhere around Portugal, I mean, Benfica, we sell João Felix for the amount, 120 million or whatever it was. We sell all these players, and now election year, we can apparently have enough money to sign Cavani, but as soon as he says no, we don't have money to sign anybody like him or so. So
that's like that money for
it's a
Cavani
different
is gone
situation,
now,
but the same outcome. We don't know what the fuck's going on either. So there's no one saying, "Look, this is how much we've made. This is how much we sold this for. This is how much we give Mendes. This is how much we give this guy, and we kept this much. Now we can either spend this much or we can invest it. What do you guys want to do? We don't have that either. So I think in England that's a lot better because you can actually sort of see an outcome of what you do. In Portugal, it's
it's a lot more transparent. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's the word, transparent. Yeah.
Yeah, the one funny thing is there's a guy at the beginning of last season that we started putting a shine on, Mehdi Taremi. We started joking about the Mehdi meter, and it was very early on last season. It was like
we called it,
Yeah, we were kind of lightly joking about it, but as the season progressed, man, this guy seemed like the real deal, and now here he is. Looks like he's going to sign for Porto, but there was a last minute attempt. It looks like from Sporting, and when you're talking about kind of like you don't know what you don't see, and it could play against you, you could kind of maybe have had a scenario. Mehdi might have had a slightly better offer from Sporting. He was considering it, and then talking to Porto goes, "Hey, they're not money to pay Braga. You think they have money to pay you? Like you can plant seeds of doubt on a club that's selling, on a player that's signing a contract, or other, especially when you have a rival involved, right? I could very easily see Porto, or if it was Benfica going after Mehdi Taremi and Sporting was trying, I guarantee you they'd be pulling every kind of stop they can to just say, hey, you might never get that contract. You hear about that manager that never got paid. You know what I mean? Like. If for some reason the things don't go well, they're not going to honor their end of the deal, and that might sometimes isn't enough to scare someone, right?
Yeah, I mean it's very common nowadays anyway for transfers to be done in installments, and I think it's just even more common now with the pandemic happening. No one really knows what the financial scenario is going to be in a year's time, so they have to sort of move things with their utensils very carefully and structure transfers in a different manner, be more delicate with it. So when you have to propose that sort of thing, if you have the reputation that you build for yourself that you don't pay, how can you comfortably say to someone, right, we'll give you 1 million and then 2 million next year if your reputation, as you say, is followed by non-payments and big claims from other clubs. And it's not the first run-in that Sporting's had with Braga, to be fair, but I don't know what's going on there, whether it's a little deliberate war.
I personally think it is, because I take no offense to this. I view Braga as they're coming up. They're smelling weakness right now, both not only from Sporting, but I'll see what's going on with Porto. You have a third Champions League spot up for grabs. There's a lot of money. That'll be a make or break for both Sporting and Braga in a sense. It's very important for Benfica and Porto, but given the financial situation at Sporting and also Braga trying to take it to the next level, and Sporting kind of was a little at risk last year, and that move to undercut Braga by stealing Ruben put Braga in a little bit of chaos. Braga really didn't have a say. They triggered the clause. Sporting waiting for the last second to ever give the money. They might have the money, but it could be a scenario that if we give that 10 million today, and Braga have another 10 right now in the bank for some reason, or 5 or whatever, they got the money from Barca, right? Braga could take that money and sign another talent to just push them a little bit more competitive, right?
Yeah.
And it's really spending that extra 10 million when you were only planning on spending 5, bring it up to 15, all of a sudden you get a slightly better player, could be what gets you a few extra points against a Rio Ave or Guimarães or Boavista, right? So it's
well, then it sounds like a good move on Sporting. The way you just put it, Mario.
No, it could be. I'll be honest. It's dirty
Don't
ball.
Give that 16 million.
No,
but you gotta play dirty ball sometimes.
Yeah, it's a serious, because the thing is,
we're fucking tribal, bro.
Yeah, hey, get the 15 million in Euro coins and just go, hey guys, there you go.
Yeah.
Just put on a desk,
that's like paying for a parking ticket.
Yeah. You've seen it. You've seen the videos. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to segue a little bit to Benfica real quickly because I will speak for most Benfiquistas. The way that the season ended, the last few months, utter train wreck, disheartened, disillusioned. These players are an embarrassment. They lost their will to even fight at all. Like you watch Pizzi, he was barely walking. Like it was not a pleasant end. So this was the first time we saw a preseason game today. I gotta say, I left the game excited as hell. Like I know it's preseason, it's a friendly. It's not like we face Real Madrid or nothing. Like it's not even about the quality team. It's the fact that today, and I want to get your guys' take. Like I just felt like they had way more hop in their step. They were more aggressive. They were playing. It looks like George was just implementing that style of playing that high pressure, that high line, and just to see these guys, Pizzi and everyone else running and hustling, and they had it in them. It's a bit disappointing how that season ended because we could have won a title if they had, worked their asses off. But that's beyond the point. It's exciting. And Sabalinga, man, I was excited about that, man. I was excited about that guy. Okay, Alex, what do you think about Sabalinga?
I'm excited. That goal was that was nice. That was a nice goal. The thing for me is like I'm excited because I think we have a true like a consistent left wing now for me. Like Rafa, my problem with Rafa is that he's just always been inconsistent. When he's good, he's really good. But when he's bad, he's fucking terrible, man. Like it's hard to watch. He's giving up balls. Like he takes long dribbles and just he doesn't know when to stop sometimes. It's like it's a little frustrating. But this guy is first of all, he's got a little bit to prove here. All right. He's coming from the Brazilian league. He got handpicked by George, right? He's coming in. And it's just an opportunity for him to, go to it. This is not going to be his last stop. You have to. I understand that, and him as a player has to play for that way. This can't be the last stop, right? This Benfica is always not, and that's why a lot of players like him, he kind of shied away from that here in the past, but they come to Benfica as harsh as it sounds. We're a stepping stone club. I'm going to go to Benfica. I'm going to do really well in the Portuguese league, and Benfica have a good history of getting, high buyout clauses. I'm going to get a good contract. That's the kind of the mentality. So for him to come in, give us his best 2-3 years, I'm really excited. That goal today was just it was class. I mean, to me, in a way, he just how he turned and took it. Not even class, just assertive. How about that? Just an assertive left wing.
Oh, the way he turned the ball around.
He turned and he shot. The way he turned the ball around and he shot. So not class. Let me back up a little bit, but definitely very assertive in play. A very aggressive Brazilian player. I'm really excited about him. Like, just him in general. If you're just asking me about something.
Yeah. Did you, Patrick? I don't know. I didn't get a chance to ask you. I know you watched the Sporting game. Obviously, that's your first love. Did you get to catch any of the Benfica one, or were you busy? Or
no. Fortunately, I didn't get to.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
Watch, but...
There was this play at the beginning where, there was a foul in the box, or just outside the box, and the ball fell to Sabalinga, and he scored a goal.
Yeah,
the ref then called it back and gave a foul for Benfica, so Benfica had a free kick. So it was one of those things where.
I understand that because he whistled as Everton shot. If you see the replay, it wasn't like the ball went in and then he blew his whistle. It was Everton took the shot and he was. So it's like
but my thing is
if he said okay, give the goal. I know it's a friendly, but it would have been like, yo, dude, you already whistled. You know what I mean? So.
My thing is, it's the rush. It's the rush to whistle. There was a foul,
definitely.
And there's a collision. The ball went Sabalinga, and all of a sudden it's like I'm gonna whistle. It's like the guy's about to shoot. Let the guy take the shot, and then. But whatever. It's all. What do you think, Luis? Sabalinga, man.
I'm excited about the guy. I've been nibbling on this already, but hey, red onion. Come on in.
A second Sabola.
Sabalinga. You know what? It doesn't even taste that bad. Last time, I'm excited for this guy.
It was a white onion you ate last time.
With the skin on last time.
It's red now. Red Sabalinga. A red onion now. I like the guy. I like the fact that
you're gonna clear those sinuses up.
Oh man, the sinus, everything. If I had COVID, it's gone.
I can't believe you ate that fucking onion.
That's
just quickly,
I like how he's powering through that.
I just quickly like to add that I like the way he received the ball. he had the cold blood to do that on his like debut at the Lush. Even though there's no fans, there's no atmosphere, it feels like a training ground. But you know, one funny thing he did though, from the moment he receives the ball, he sticks his tongue out. He does. I don't know if you see this, right?
Yeah.
He gets the ball, controls it, and just sticks his tongue out. The whole time, like he turns around, shoots, and his tongue's like that. I'm like, what's this guy doing?
Like Michael Jordan used to stick his tongue out when he went up for a layup. It's just his thing.
For me, it was even the goal. For me, it was more the fact. Go on.
In the preseason, like, how do you guys watch preseason games? Because I don't. When I watch a preseason game, I watch players. They're gonna take care of the style of play, the togetherness. They take care of that in the fucking training ground, right? George Jesus gets that. In preseason games, for me, I'm looking at single players. Today, I was watching a lot of Cebolinha, and he just moves. Like there's a lot of movement there. How do you guys watch preseason games? Because preseason games is just players for me. I just want to see what this guy's doing. This guy's doing. You know what I mean? In his position. Not even necessarily how he connects with everybody, but just how is he playing within his position. And that's what I was watching Cebolinha today. How do you guys watch it?
I'd say like today I took a lot more time to watch like specific players, like after they passed the ball. Sorry. Before they received the ball. A variety of things. Like for example, Taarabt. I saw a lot of like, how is he playing without the ball? Because like a lot for me, somebody that plays in Taarabt's position has to pass the ball and very quickly find space to receive it again, just in case something goes wrong. And he kept doing that. Although I do think he needs to calm down a little bit, because sometimes you need to be a bit more, what's the word? I wouldn't say comprehensive, but a little bit more careful. You know? Because like, you can't just all the time dive into tackles like that. You can't just always try, I watched a lot of Taarabt, and also I really paid attention to Weigl. And the reason for Weigl was, for me, arguably, it was the best player we had before the whole season ended, right? And I wanted to see if he was going to bring that form in. I wanted to see if he was still that guy that we could... And he played well. He did. I think defensively was there. On the attacking side, it wasn't as much. But I think that's mainly because Taarabt was always going forward. He never gave Weigl the chance to, you know what, kid, you go, you show us what you got. But yeah... Everton, I'm going to be honest with you. All I saw from him was the two goals or the goal. Interesting runs on the wing, always asking for the ball, always had his arm up saying, yeah, to me. And it's interesting. But yeah, I think that's the first part. I mean, we can all agree the first half was a lot better than the second half. And that could be for a variety of things, fitness, subs, everything. JJ could have asked a lot more from the players in the first half than the second half. There's stuff that goes behind the curtains that you don't know. But one thing I can say though is JJ did not sit down. I could hear him on. I watched the game. I don't know if I watched the game without the commentary.
Okay. I
could listen. I could hear JJ literally the 90 minutes. Behind, go forward, open up, close up. There's one. I remember this. And then Ahmed is on he's on the right. And JJ literally tells him, go in the middle, close the middle, go in the middle, close the middle, go in the middle. And literally within like 10 seconds, the ball comes to the middle and Dramede collects that ball and spreads it out onto the wing. And it's like he was playing ahead of time. It's like this guy is on bloody Sky, rewinding the play to see where the ball's going to end up. So, at the end of the day, he's got he knows a little bit of football at least. We'll see what he can do with this team. And yeah. I don't like the second half. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't love the game as everybody. Everybody seems to be over the moon. I'm not going to say that. I like the first half. I do think there's a lot to improve. And I like that Taarabt came out and on his interview he said, we played well, but we can play a lot better. And I like that because you can. Like, I'm sorry, but you played Bournemouth.
There's one thing about the second half that I did like. It was Diogo Gonçalves.
Oh, man.
And I said in the beginning, on our last show, that's who I was really excited about, right?
Mm-hmm.
We talked about our loans. We talked about who was coming back to Benfica, things like that. He was one guy that I highlighted because when he came up from the B team, like he was on the level, like as far as the hype goes, he was on the level of like Felix was. Like, this is the next great Benfica player. I mean, that as far as what I heard, those are the things that I was watching when he came in, right? And then he kind of got a raw deal. His first start was against Manchester United in the Champions League. Like, that's a little rough, right? And then you get loaned out, and he goes to Famalicão, and he shines. He went somewhere else before Famalicão. He went to, I forget. It was another team. I know he went somewhere else before he went to Famalicão.
Gonçalves?
Yeah.
It was in England. It's in England. It was...
Is it Nottingham Forest?
Yes. Was it Forest or Sheffield Wednesday?
No,
Kovacevic.
It was not him. I just looked it up real quickly. Yeah.
Forest. Yeah.
And then Famalicão.
Yeah, I always mix him up, Kovacevic and
I watched it on BTV, Luis. I watched it on BTV, so I didn't get to hear too much JJ. But in the second half, I heard Gonçalves' name at least 15 times. Like he was doing something, or he made a nice play. I was like, this is the only guy I'm hearing. So I was really excited about that. And another guy I was watching real quick, I'm going to shoot back to Mario, was Nuno Tavares. I mean, you have to. If you weren't watching that position, I don't know what to tell you, man, because Grimaldo's hurt. And we said last year that this kid wasn't ready. I'm not going to come on here and say the kid is bad player or anything like that. He's just not ready to play for Benfica at that position, man. And it's a little frustrating. It really is a little frustrating because I know we went to go get Gilberto, and I guess you know what I mean. I still think Andre Almeida is going to play over Gilberto. I just know it. But Lev. I mean, we didn't do anything with that left spot, man. And Nuno Tavares I can't see it. And the problem is he has the ball too much. That's why I see him too much.
Yeah,
this kid always end up with the ball. Like
that was something I said before the season ended, and I said this. It's almost like how Juve play for Ronaldo and Barcelona play for Messi. It's almost like Benfica plays for this guy. It's like this is our new year. Remember when I said that? I said that. Remember? I was like, why? How come this guy always has the ball? It seems like, where is he? Where is he? It's like today it felt like that as well. Quickly before.
I think I think when Grimaldo's fit, and Grimaldo's probably one of the best fullbacks on the ball, not even in Portugal, but just around Europe.
Yeah,
perhaps. So Benfica play a lot through him and through little triangles on the left. So I think that's probably why Tavares sees so much of the ball when he's on, and obviously he's a little less thoughtful and a little bit more careless on the ball than Grimaldo is, unfortunately for you guys. But yeah, I hear. I hear
said so eloquently.
He's a bit rough around the edges for sure. Yeah.
Hey Mario, before you go, I just want to add two things. Yeah, the onion was actually quite nice. I am not lying. That was a lot better than the last one. That red onion is the way to go. I swear to God, I'm fine. It was nice.
I put in my salad red onion, bits of red onion.
Yeah, well, I don't have salad. I just have it straight up.
Onion, like an apple. Now, every time Cebolinha scores a goal.
First time Cebolinha scores a hat trick, I'll have it glazed with caramelized, I make like a nice little caramelized onion, I make like a nice meal out of it. And also one thing, and Patrick said this before, Gonçalo, everybody's been saying, is it Gonçalo? I've had about 4 beers. Ramos. Yeah, Gonçalo Ramos, yeah. I want to see him play because I don't know, man, with Diogo, and they're kids, dude. They want to show up, and these friendlies are the time to get them playing. Not in the Champions League qualifier or whatever, not in the league. This is it. Diogo came on, and the guy's got a nutmeg, could have scored a goal, was creating chances left, right, and centre. Gonçalo came on, I can't remember against who, scores 2 goals, then he disappears like that. It was considered the man of the best player.
Him today, though.
No, I didn't expect it. I don't expect to because it's just the way we are. We have Seth and Vinny. Okay, cool. Did they do anything today? Seth didn't look too bad. Vinny only just showed up at the very end with a run. That was it. Why can't we have? Why do we have to? And again, I'll put this in brackets. Why do we have to blind the fans with Cavani's and Marianos and shit? Just get this kid a chance. He seems to know what he's doing. He played in the Youth League or Youth Cup, whatever you want to call it. Unfortunately, we didn't win it. Very unfortunate. But he looked good. He looked confident. He looked ready to do it. I'm not saying he's going to be our best top goal scorer. Give the kid a chance. Even, no offense, but even people from Sporting and Porto can look at this kid and say he's got talent. So surely we can give this guy a chance. But I know he's for a fact he comes on to the team, scores a couple goals, he's going to end up for like Wolverhampton or something, you know, like 15 million, you know, again, like Cavallero or something, you know. Like, it's going to be like that, you know. And also Everton, when he scores the goal and he's praying, you can see in his head he's thinking, okay, 2 years here, and now I got Real Madrid. Come on. You can just see these people, man. It's like, come on.
Hey, you know what? You win us some titles, you get us further in Europe. You know, you earn your keep,
yeah,
right?
true.
We get our money from the transfer, we keep growing, right? That's the point. And
that's it.
Yeah, man. I got to do one quick shout out on Nuno Tavares, though. I agree with you guys. He's not up to snuff. Obviously, the challenge of having a guy like Grimaldo, which is such a great fullback. A good show from Patrick. Like, at the end of the day, when you have such a great player, the team plays off that great player. When that great player is gone, the team tries to still do what they did in training, and it doesn't work out well. Kind of like Portugal
just to move the triangle to the other side.
But Portugal does that with Ronaldo. Sometimes
you got the other side of Real Madrid. It's even worse, my friend. Come on,
they can't do that.
I would rather him shoot crosses than him.
I tell you what, I'd rather put Sergio as left back. Fuck it. If that's you know what?
We're gonna save that for
that
for the scientific show.
Yeah, I got to give the guy one shout though. There was a moment in the second half where the ball went to the
he ran back.
Yeah, he ran back for the ball. There was a player that completely bodied Nuno Tavares. He got flatlined on the ground. He got the ball and started running with it. Nuno Tavares not only got bodied, stood up, ran, caught up with that attacker, stole the ball, and distributed it back. So sometimes there's moments that you see with Nuno Tavares that you kind of go, kid's clearly, there's a reason there's a reason why the kid's there. He's not refined. He's got sharp edges, but I'm curious.
But can I just say something, right?
Yeah.
The guy is left-footed. Why the hell is he trying to kick with his right foot? Well, I get it. Are you trying? Do that in training, fam. Don't come in here trying to kick with your right foot.
But if he kicks with his left foot, the ball's gonna go out the damn stadium, bro. You don't see the shit. 5th row, second deck.
You know what? Next game, I'll stand outside just in case. Oh no!
The last time he sent a cross, Vieira had to throw the ball back from the stadium. All right, he had to toss it back. The ref was waiting.
Vieira, come on. Yeah, that wasn't Vieira. That was Rui Costa. Vieira doesn't turn up to the games. Come on, man.
No. Vieira would have got the ball in the head. He was playing Candy Crush. I got. Okay, before we sign off, I got to ask Patrick, any projects you're working on at the moment, buddy? Anything you're kind of working on?
We're just keeping it routine with the work on Portugal and whatnot, and nothing really outstanding, I'd say, which is a bit sad to say. I'd love to share something amazing with you, but nothing at the moment. Just the routine stuff.
Have you connected with Aaron before, by chance? He does the Próxima Jornada. We had him on here early when he started his site.
Oh yeah, I know of him obviously on Twitter and stuff, but no, I've never actually spoken to the guy personally.
Yeah, no, it's a fun guy to connect with. He's a good guy to chat with because he has his site and he's doing some pretty good articles also. And it takes a skill to write. I'm not a writer by any means whatsoever. I can yabber on and mumble, and half the people understand I hear, but that's about it. That's awesome, man. But yeah, you guys know Portugal.net. We always have them at the end of our show, a little logo there. Check out their site. Tom, Patrick, and many others. They do amazing work on that site. It's tough. Like, do you mainly cover just sporting? Because I know with Tom, he has a hard time sometimes where he's trying to balance the different clubs, and when you write about Benfica or Porto, he sometimes gets some flack. But it's an art to try to write as neutral as possible, and you technically have a vested interest, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm a bit like a Mourinho in that aspect. I'm a professional at the end of the day, so I've got to be impartial. I write about a whole host of clubs. Anything that's interesting and that's worth sharing, like in terms of opinion, I'll give it as impartial as it gets. Then obviously news, the news has to be impartial anyway. So you'll find lots of that out on the website.
That's awesome. Yeah, I just think one last check of the chat. David's comment. I actually never heard about that before. Gabriel as a left back. What do you guys think about that? Is that something you can ever see happen? He's too slow.
Idea.
He's too slow, right? I think you have to sell him faster.
That sounds very JJ. Yes, I agree. Sounds very JJ. That's a red card waiting to happen. This guy at left back.
Maybe
You know how mad he'll get. You know how mad he'll get when he gets burned by some little right wingers.
David's like, yeah, no, he's being sarcastic. But I'll be honest,
Yeah,
like,
of course.
but like, as soon as he said it though, I'm thinking like, but Almeida was a defensive mid. Ruben Amorim was a defensive mid. They both found themselves as a fullback at some point.
Neil,
There was a story a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Go on.
Yeah.
Patrick?
No, I was just saying there was a story a couple of weeks ago on one of the papers that Jesus was looking at him as a left back because apparently he doesn't fancy him in midfield. I don't know whether he thinks he doesn't have an engine for that box-to-box role or whatever, but I don't know why he'd think he'd have one for wing back instead.
I'd rather get 15. Can we get 12 for him? We only got him for 8.
I'll tell you what, he gave me 9 and he's gone, man. I'm happy.
Yeah, that's a mil profit, bro. We got him for $8 million, man. Tell him.
Ruben Amorim was a good bombeiro. Like, what the hell, dude?
Gabriel is just gonna eat nachos. Yeah, man. I could compete with him on that. That's
Oh man, let's wrap it up.
All right, guys. So thank you so much.
Benfica, real quick. Benfica have Sporting week 17. Is it?
Yeah, we got later on.
I believe so. Yeah, away at the Avalanche.
I like our schedule, man. Our schedule came out. Yeah. I feel Famalicão's the opener. They're a tough side, but they've lost some players. So
they lost a few. Like they lost Gonçalves. I hope Gonçalves plays and scores a hat trick. Hey.
So they lost him, but then you got to go to Moreirense, you go Farense, you go Rio Ave, like and then Belenenses. It's there. I never want to call any side easy, but I feel like we get a little bit more time to ease into the season because there's some years you just go bang, like Porto, bang, they got Braga. 9 times out of 10 they beat Braga, but at the same time, it's not a match that you take lightly. You know that they're going to give you a good run for your money. So yeah, look, we also got actually, we came out with the idea of doing this rivals perspective. Really appreciate Patrick being on here. We kind of said, okay, let's kick it off for our crosstown rivals. We'll do Braga next, and Benfica. They checked out our site and they're like, it makes sense. So Benfica is now going to face Braga in a friendly midweek. They just announced that after we made our announcements. So I appreciate them checking in with us and lining up their schedule. Alex, can you hold a straight face, man? You gotta hold a straight face as if we're serious, man. But yeah,
quickly before we go, congrats, Patrick, because Arsenal won the Community Shield. But I did hear, and I honestly had no clue that Arsenal going through a bit of a shaky time with money as well. And I didn't think, I don't know if it was a Sport TV play, like, because Ozil apparently is on a stupid amount of money, and Aubameyang wants that sort of money. And they're having to sell players. Is that because I see Chelsea just like Chelsea are going mad. They're just buying. They're playing career mode on Football Manager. They go, I'll get this one. What's Arsenal saying?
Yeah, Arsenal doesn't want to spend money. They got money. The owner's rich. He doesn't.
Arsenal have always been far more careful at spending their money than, for example, Chelsea. And Chelsea are coming from a transfer ban, so they're sitting on money from last year still. Yeah, okay. So that's probably why they're sending coins everywhere. But Arsenal are always a little bit more careful, and obviously they're entertaining the idea of 1 or 2 players going. Lacazette, his contract's up at the end of the year. At the end of the year. So there's always.
I forgot about him. Jesus.
Yeah, there's a few players like that that they're looking at, obviously. But I think that there's money there to, if they're smart enough for their business, sell some players that, let's be real, Arsenal finished way further down the table than they would have liked to last year. So the players that are there's some of them that can be shipped off at a good price and they can rebuild from there. I think that's sort of what the idea is. In terms of selling certain players, it's a rebuilding process.
How often do you go and watch Arsenal?
Not that often, to be fair. It's quite expensive out here for
Arsenal. Tell me about
it. and the other most expensive place to watch a game is always at Tottenham, so it must be an awful lot of thing. But I think the last time I got to see him was actually against Guimarães in Europa League.
That was a fun game.
Next time you go, hit me up, tell me how much it is, and hit me up, man.
Sure.
I mean, last time I went there, Benfica got smashed, but fuck it. I'll go again. It was a friendly. We didn't even get smashed,
Yeah.
but was it Arsenal? No, yeah,
was
like
Arsenal.
5-1 or
It
5-2.
was
or
Emirates
something.
Cup.
Yeah, it
I
was just
think it was-
the seats
I think it was
though,
6.
comfy. Yeah, something.
they're
Yeah, it
good,
might have
aren't
been. Yeah, the seats
Yeah.
were nice though. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You must have been happy. I was crying. Although,
Yeah, I was. I think we had. You guys remember Yaya Sanogo?
Yeah, Sanogo. Yeah.
No? But
Sanogo, yeah.
He scored like 4 goals that day.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know Sanogo. Yeah,
Joe
he had the
Campbell-
little hair to
Joe
the
Campbell
side like
scored
this.
one as well.
Yeah.
No, that's Sanya. Yeah, Sanogo
No, but-
it was like a rubbish striker that just scored 4 goals against your club, but yeah, that was him.
That's why we don't remember.
All right, listen. Shut this up. Shut this up. Shut this up.
We're cut out.
Wrap it up.
Where's he at now?
No.
Toulouse. I think he's at
Toulouse.
Toulouse.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yeah,
Toulouse.
See what happens when you 4 score goals
Yeah.
against Benfica? You go to fucking
Yes.
Toulouse.
You
Yeah.
The other guy that scored was Joe Campbell, so we all know sort of what happened to him. Yeah.
See?
That's awesome.
Don't score 4
Joe
goals
Campbell.
against us. You get your ass booted to
So-
some weird league.
So you guys looking at selling Lacazette? It seems like because he's gone next year.
Well, he's on a bit of money, and he hasn't really lived up to the hype that he promised at Arsenal. I think his contract's up at the end of 2021, so there's interest from Atletico Madrid, interest from Juventus. So I think the club's just sort of seeing what sort of money they can fetch for him. If the offer's
Anything
good
now,
and he
Benfica
wants to
will be-
go, then he'll go.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
He'll-
I googled it up real quickly. It's a $4.2 million salary, cheaper than Cavani.
Like that.
Yeah, I knew it. There it is. There goes the link.
There we go, man. Hey,
There we
let me,
go.
let me have
Gotta do
Mendes real quick.
The
Just a
search,
second.
get the presentation, the fake pictures with the jersey and everything. We're still waiting on that Messi signing, but supposedly Barcelona's not letting him go, so we got to move on now. But yeah, thank you so much again for tuning in. Everyone is always in the chat that checks us out. Always appreciate it. Everyone that supports the show. Check out this outro. Give a big shout out to the individual that helped us with the video here. I put the edit together, but yeah, thanks again. Kaiga Benfica. I know Patrick ain't gonna be saying that, but hey.